Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro has been vocal in his criticism of Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, accusing her of putting the region's peace in jeopardy by allowing American military forces to be stationed off the coast of Venezuela. This accusation comes rising tensions in the Caribbean, where geopolitical dynamics continue to evolve. Maduro claims that by hosting U.S. military personnel just 15 kilometers away from Venezuela's shores, Persad-Bissessar has mortgaged her country's sovereignty. The Venezuelan president asserts that this decision was a grave mistake, one that threatens not just Venezuela's security, but the stability of the entire region. His words are a pointed response to what he sees as an unprecedented and unacceptable situation. The Caribbean, historically a region marked by cooperation and peaceful diplomacy, now finds itself in the midst of growing division. On one side, there are leaders like Maduro who see foreign military presence as an encroachment on national sovereignty. On the other, leaders like Persad-Bissessar have made decisions that some believe could risk escalating tensions. The deployment of U.S. military forces so close to Venezuela is seen by Maduro as a direct threat, a move that could provoke unnecessary conflict in an already volatile area. Maduro's accusations also highlight his belief that Trinidad and Tobago's decision to host U.S. forces is both a strategic and diplomatic misstep. This has never been seen before, truly never, he remarks, underscoring how rare and dangerous such an arrangement is in the Caribbean. He doesn't hesitate to warn that the Prime Minister's actions could bring serious consequences, both for Trinidad and Tobago and for the broader region. In his view, the proximity of U.S. forces could destabilize the already fragile peace in the Caribbean, a region that has long prided itself on maintaining a level of neutrality and cooperation. He also warns that Persad-Bissessar's actions could trigger a wider geopolitical conflict, one that would affect not only Venezuela but many other nations across the region. While the political fallout of this issue is still unfolding, the rhetoric used by Maduro speaks volumes about the growing divide between Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago. For Maduro, this is not just about military presence, it's about the sovereignty and security of his country. He believes that any foreign intervention so close to Venezuela's borders is a direct threat to national security, and his government will not stand idly by while foreign powers set up operations near their shores. At the heart of the matter is the Caribbean's changing political landscape. The region, which has long been a symbol of stability and cooperation, now faces increasing pressure from global powers, including the United States, which continues to exert influence through military presence and diplomatic actions. The decision to allow U.S. forces to operate near Venezuela is part of a larger geopolitical strategy that has far-reaching implications for the Caribbean. For Maduro, the presence of U.S. military forces in the region is a direct challenge to Venezuela's sovereignty. His government has consistently pushed back against foreign intervention, arguing that such actions undermine the independence of Latin American nations. The Venezuelan president's response to Trinidad and Tobago's decision is just the latest in a series of challenges to U.S. influence in the region. However, this issue isn't just about the interests of Venezuela, it's about the broader security and stability of the Caribbean. The region's history of non-intervention and peaceful diplomacy is now being tested by the actions of some of its own leaders, as well as by external powers. Trinidad and Tobago's decision to host U.S. military forces could have lasting consequences for the Caribbean's role in global diplomacy. In addition to the geopolitical implications, there are also domestic political concerns in Trinidad and Tobago. Prime Minister Persad-Bissessar's decision to allow U.S. military forces to operate near Venezuela has already sparked significant debate within her country. Critics argue that this move could drag Trinidad and Tobago into a larger conflict, putting the nation's citizens at risk. Supporters, on the other hand, may view this as a necessary step in securing stronger ties with the United States, which has long been a key partner for the Caribbean island. The ongoing dispute highlights the tension between national interests and regional stability. While some leaders in the Caribbean may see the U.S. military presence as a way to secure their country's interests in an increasingly complex global environment, others, like Maduro, view it as a dangerous escalation that threatens to destabilize the region. This diplomatic standoff is just one example of how geopolitical competition is playing out in the Caribbean, as larger powers like the United States continue to assert influence in the region. For now, the diplomatic future between Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago remains uncertain. Maduro's sharp criticism of Prime Minister Persad-Bissessar is unlikely to subside anytime soon, and the response from Trinidad and Tobago's government will be closely watched by both regional allies and adversaries. Will Trinidad and Tobago continue its alignment with US interests, or will it reconsider its position in light of the mounting pressure from Venezuela? Only time will tell. In the meantime, this diplomatic crisis serves as a stark reminder of the complexities of Caribbean politics. The region, once known for its commitment to peace and cooperation, is now facing growing divisions. The question remains whether this geopolitical tension will lead to greater confrontation or whether there will be room for dialogue and resolution. Maduro's statement suggests that the consequences of this dispute could reach far beyond Venezuela's borders. As the situation unfolds, it will be important to monitor how both sides navigate this crisis and whether any meaningful dialogue can take place to de-escalate tensions. In an era of increasing global competition for influence, the Caribbean's role in this geopolitical struggle is likely to become even more significant. The broader implications of this diplomatic conflict are still unfolding, and it remains to be seen whether other Caribbean nations will weigh in on this issue. The growing divide between Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago is not just a bilateral dispute. It is a reflection of the shifting political and security dynamics in the region. As global powers continue to vie for influence, the Caribbean finds itself at the crossroads of competing interests. For now, the tensions between Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago remain high, and both countries will need to carefully navigate their diplomatic relations in the coming weeks and months. The outcome of this dispute will have far-reaching implications, not only for the two countries involved, but for the entire Caribbean region and its place in the broader geopolitical landscape. As these tensions continue to rise, it will be crucial for all involved parties to consider the long-term consequences of their actions. The Caribbean, once a region known for its stability, now faces a pivotal moment in its history, one that could redefine its role in global politics for years to come. In conclusion, the political fallout from this diplomatic crisis will undoubtedly continue to shape the future of the Caribbean. With competing interests from global powers and mounting regional tensions, the path forward will require careful diplomacy, negotiation, and a commitment to maintaining peace and stability in the region. The growing divide between Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago serves as a stark reminder of how fragile regional peace can be. How the Caribbean navigates these complex geopolitical issues will have a profound impact on the region's future, both in terms of security and diplomacy. As this situation unfolds, it will be important to watch closely for any signs of resolution or further escalation as the stakes continue to rise in this volatile region.